Hello and welcome back to Painting Classic Cars and welcome to 2025. Hope everyone's had a great Christmas break and here's to a very happy new year. Again, a little bit of time editing, going backwards. This, hopefully, now is all in paint. We introduced you to this truck in our last video. Actually, this is my own personal truck. The idea with this is to have a nice, clean shop truck. It's not a showpiece. It's never intended to be a showpiece. And it's also been accelerated slightly because it's huge and we need the space. So I can't have it sitting outside in all these bare bits and pieces. So we're going to crack on over the Christmas shutdown period and get this into paint. We'll have a quick walk around the truck. As I say, it's a 1987 C10 R10. It's a long bed. And all my waffle in the last video, it is an 8-foot bed, approximately 5.5 foot wide. It's huge. We'll walk around the back in a minute, but it's a really useful bit of kit. All of these trucks, though, they do suffer with body corrosion. The chassis on it is really good. The running gear on it's really good. It's now got its rebuilt gearbox in it. But while the box was being rebuilt, I thought I'd go around and do the various bits and pieces, and it just grew. Inner and outer front wings on these notoriously fall apart. So I think I've got some stills which I'll overlay over this just to point out where some of this stuff was. It's pretty dusty in here, but I mean, if you can pull in, Luke, these big inner wing panels here, inner fenders, they rot out really, really badly. And this was no exception. So underneath all the dust is freshly rebuilt inner fenders. All the repairs are done. It's all into Noval Cobra in a fine textured finish. Underneath all this dust, it does actually look quite nice. So you never know, at the end of this video, it might be cleaned up and shown. But so all of that has been done. Same with the outer wings. They corrode like, like metal does. Very common for all this down here to rot out. This was no exception. So all this has been cut out, remade in steel, and just leveled up now in the filler work. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you live in the States, these panels are really, really cheap. A front wing for this is about $95. An inner wing for this is about $80. But with a crazy post-pandemic world, it's nearly $1,000 per panel to ship them. So that was a no-go. We just rebuilt them and got that done. It's had a whole section in the sill put in here because it was all a bit crispy. Someone had put a cab corner in it in the past, but for some reason they put it in wonky. So that's all been cut out and redone. And then there's just a few little minor bits and pieces. There's a big blister there, so we've ground that back and redone that. As I say, it's never going to be a show truck. It is going to be a nice, clean, daily driver truck. And this vast expanse of load carrying space, it's going to be a bit of fun. She sounds really nice, drives really nice, as I said. So what we're going to do now with the Christmas break and the Christmas shutdown is we're just going to whiz round, finish off all the filler work repairs that are on here, the leveling repairs, spot prime all of that, key the body up, and all we're going to do with this is a wet on wet epoxy and then recolor it. We don't plan selling this. It will be good and honest. It'll look great, and if anything comes up in the future, well, we know a paint shop that we can squeeze in any localized repairs should it be needed. So we're going to crack on now, key it all up, get all the leveling work done, get all the bits of trim off, and push forward and get some colour on the thing. Okay, first video back of 2025, and we're showing you what we don't do. Great business sense, eh? this is a quick job, as we've said before. So all we've done is wherever the filler work is and the repair works have been, we've gone round and we've spot primed that in a high build 35500 in a P3. So all we're going to do now is just whiz round and block out all of the filler work, all of the primer work, run over and finish the whole thing in a 320 ready for some wet on wet primer. We're not that lazy. We are actually going to take these handles and so on out. They were just left on there just so we can whiz round quickly and get it into spot primer. So handles out, finish in a 320, back in the booth, mask up all the glass again, and wet on wet and colour. This will be a quick job, which you cannot buy here. Okay, there we go. We have gone over the whole thing. We've done the spot priming. Just reiterate where we're at. We've done the spot priming. We've blocked it. We've DA'd it into a 320, so the whole truck's now in a 320. It's all keyed up. It's all masked up. I'm just going to go in there now and degrease. It's cozy in here. The truck does take up a fair old chunk of this booth, so filming in here might be a little bit sketchy, but we'll see how we go. I'm just going to go over now, blow the whole thing down, degrease it, and then we're going in with Spectral 38500, which is an epoxy wet on wet primer. Give that a half an hour flash off, and then we hit it with colour, and then we hit it with clear coat. So by the end of today, this will have a super quick repaint, and we'll have a recap at the end explaining why we don't do this. So yeah, I'll crack on now. We'll get the GoPro on the go, so we'll see some speed as we go through, tack it down, degrease it, and get some colour and so on laid on. So we'll see you in a minute with a nicely painted, with a painted truck. There we go, one super quick truck repaint. Now the point of this is kind of harping back to one of our early videos about what it costs and how much we can do that for this much money and so on and so forth. So I've sacrificed my truck for your knowledge. So anyway, as I said at the beginning, the prime reason for doing this quickly is we need the space, and so much of the repair work was in bare primer, bare filler, or whatever. I couldn't put the truck outside, and we're in winter. So I needed to get a coat of something on it, just so it can go outside when we need the space. So it's all done. From there, it probably doesn't look too bad, but there are tons of issues with this, which we'll sort of walk through briefly and go through. They're nice big sides, and they're a little bit wobbly. We've got a bit of debris here and there. The filler work, all we did was spot prime this. Now, if you follow our channel, you see everything we do is epoxy coated, it's primed, it's blocked, it's fillered, it's blocked. We spend a lot of time getting these nice. This just needed colour on it quickly. So the repairs, they're not smack you in the face visible, but I know where they all are, so I see them straight away. It is quite wobbly down the sides, but it's got a nice uniform colour, uniform lacquer. It's nice and wet. There's no dry texture anywhere. There is some debris. Rushing, I managed to pick up a couple of runs. Well, I say rushing, it's also, it fills the booth. So when I was at the tailgate here, I had about a foot between the back wall of the booth and the tailgate in a shadow, so I was just painting blind. It's okay, you know, it's presentable. I could spend a couple of days flattening and polishing it and it would be a hell of a lot better. I might do that. We'll just see how this goes. It can sit outside now without dissolving away. But to kind of come back to the point of this, we've done some quick working out, and to get the truck from all the metalwork repairs done and some of the filler work started, over the past 10 days or so, Bo and Luke have had a day and a half each on it. I've had 2 days on it. So there we are at 40 hours. Material-wise, yes, it's a big American truck, but when you actually break it down and look at it, there's probably a little more surface area than a good size 4-door saloon. I've got a really short roof. I've only got 2 doors. So whilst I've got these huge bedsides, I don't have a larger roof, a boot lid, another 2 doors, and so on and so forth. So material-wise, it's probably quite even. The bare minimum that we did with this, it was still nearly £600 worth of materials, and as I say, 40 hours labour. So if we were retailing this, which we don't, that's sort of £3,300 plus the VAT for a quick blowover. And this is a quick blowover. And from a distance, it looks okay, but it's not the kind of work we do here. It's not the kind of work we'd send out. So going back on the whole quick, cheap repaint, quick, cheap and good, doesn't happen. It's okay. But I mean, bearing in mind, within that as well, we haven't done door shuts or anything like that. We have literally closed it, masked it, painted it. Things we would do differently, panels would be off. The glass will be out. We just mask this up. I can't get this rubber, and the front rubber I can't get quickly enough to be able to park the car outside in January. So we masked up a lot of things which we wouldn't normally do. Being a truck bed like this, we can't get into here without taking the bed off. All these things are hours. The filler and the prep work on this, we would normally spend 2, maybe 3 weeks doing shaping and levelling. Well, that's 80 to 100 hours. We've done the whole truck start to finish in 40 hours, and it shows. You know, it's okay, but we would never retail this. So there it is, how not to paint your classic car. We'll probably close off the video. We'll get this outside. We'll do a few sort of walk rounds with it outside. I've still got the scuttle vent here to paint. That just needs keying up and painting. But yeah, it's going to be a clean, usable truck out on the road. That's how not to paint your classic car.